So let's talk about USS Missouri. Battleship Missouri, or Mighty Mo as many like to call her, is the last battleship commissioned by the US Navy, and the last one to leave service. She's an Iowa-class battleship commissioned for the first time in 1944 and decommissioned for the last time in 1992. She saw action in the Pacific during World War II and again during the Korean War, and in mid-80s she was modernized and participated in the Gulf War. The Iowa class of battleships had a displacement of over 44,000 tons and a length of over 800 feet and a maximum speed of 33 knots, making the Iowa class battleships the largest battleships ever made by the United States and the second largest battleship in history, only preceded by the Japanese Yamato class. Missouri main armament consisted of 3 turrets, each containing 3 16-inch Mark 7 guns. These guns could fire a 2,700 pounds armor piercing shell or a 1,900 pound high explosive shell with a maximum range of about 23.6 miles. Each of the 3 turrets weighs over 2,200 tons, 2 in the front and 1 in the back. During the 1950s, a version of the W-19 nuclear artillery shell was developed specifically for the 16-inch guns, making them the world's largest nuclear artillery, and making the Iowa-class battleships the only US Navy ships ever to have nuclear projectiles designed for them. The Iowa class are the only battleships to mount the Mark 7 gun. This weapon is a considerable improvement over the Mark 6 guns mounted in the North Carolina class. And from 1943 to 1986, secondary armament consisted of 25-inch Mark 12 guns. These dual-purpose guns can hit stationary targets up to 9 miles away, as well as aircraft at closer range. The 5-inch guns were mounted in 10 twin turrets. And the 5-inch caliber gun was arguably the best dual-purpose gun of World War II. First developed in the 1930s to equip new destroyers, the 5-inch was used on almost all major US warships built between 1934 and 1948. The gun had a high rate of fire and ability to load easily at any elevation angle, both highly desirable qualities in an anti-aircraft weapon. The introduction of the proximity fuse anti-aircraft shell in 1943 made the weapon even more powerful. Her other anti-aircraft weapons evolved over time because of the evolution of air threats, from air raids in World War II to higher jet speeds after the war. Initially had 20 quadruple mounts for Bofors 40mm gun, for a total of 80 barrels distributed along the main deck at the superstructure, with a firing rate of up to 160 rounds per minute and range of 11,000 yards. Moreover, 49 single Oerlikon 20mm guns were distributed throughout the lower 5 levels of the superstructure and main deck, with a firing rate of up to 450 rounds per minute and range of 4,800 yards. While having big guns and massive firepower is a huge advantage for any battleship, but alone is not enough. A battleship must have a good targeting system, otherwise the shells fired from the ship's guns will not hit the target. To properly aim her gun, Missouri used 2 targeting systems, the Mark 8 range keeper for the 16-inch gun and the Mark 1A fire control computer for the smaller 5-inch guns. These were mechanical analog computers that could solve 20+ variable calculus problems in real time, constantly, long before digital computers came in. These mechanical computers take as input variables like wind speed, the ship speed, Coriolis effect, and other factors. These variables can be either entered manually or automatically to the computing system. Once the system was locked on a target, it would send signals through switchboard to the gun turret and mounts to keep them aimed properly. Next, sending stabilizing data to adjust the elevation of the guns for the ship's yaw and pitch. The Mark 8 was itself electromechanically networked. It consisted of 5 boxes of analog computing hardware bolted together into a single unit. Even after modernizing the ship in the 80s, the Mark 8 rangekeeper was maintained as the targeting system for the 16-inch gun. Missouri was the last US battleship to join the war. She joined the Pacific Theater on January 13, 1945. Then she was assigned to Task Force 58. The task force headed to Japan to conduct air raids on Tokyo. Missouri and other battleships of the task force were assigned to protecting the carriers and even acting as refuelers for the destroyers, since the fleet's logistics train could not accompany the task force during raids. The ship sailed again on March 14th to resume air raids on Japan. after she was temporarily transferred to Task Force 59 along with her sisters in New Jersey and Wisconsin to bombard the south coast of Okinawa on March 24th, and was stationed on the western side of Okinawa to divert Japanese attention from the actual invasion target, during which she fired 180 rounds. Missouri continued to participate in bombings against the Japanese mainland until the nuclear attacks of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which led Japan to surrender on August 15. And on September 2nd, Missouri hosted the surrender ceremony, which officially declared the end of World War II. This event in particular is what made Missouri most famous, because her deck witnessed the end of World War II. The Korean War began in 1950, and the United States intervened on behalf of the United Nations. President Truman ordered US forces stationed in Japan to be stationed in South Korea. The US also sent additional US-based forces and a naval force to support the Republic of Korea. So USS Missouri was deployed to Korea. She was the first US battleship to arrive Korean waters, where she became the flagship of Rear Admiral Alan Edward Smith. During her service in Korea, Missouri provided gun support for the United Nations and South Korean forces, firing over 2,800 16-inch rounds and 8,000 5-inch shells. And in March of 1951, she left Korea for Japan and headed back to the United States. And in 1955, Missouri was decommissioned for the first time and became a museum ship, where people visited her to see the famous surrender site. 30 years later, 1986, and as a part of President Ronald Reagan's to create a 600-ship navy, Missouri was reactivated. The ship then underwent a modernization process to make her ready for modern-day warfare. During the modernization, Missouri had all of her remaining Oerlikon 20mm and Bofors 40mm anti-aircraft guns removed due to their ineffectiveness against modern-day jet fighters and enemy anti-ship missiles. Over the next several months, the ship was upgraded with the most advanced weaponry available. Among the new weapon systems installed were Harpoon anti-ship missiles and Tomahawk cruise missiles, and the Sea-Wiz cannon for defense against enemy anti-ship missiles and enemy aircrafts. Modernization also included improved electronics warfare capability. The battleship served in the US Navy until March 31st, 1992, where she was decommissioned for the last time, and now she is a museum ship. This was the video. Thanks for watching.